Part 1. In a distant part of the galaxy, far beyond anything humans had ever seen, a group of alien leaders gathered in a large circular room. The walls shimmered with light that seemed alive, shifting colors like the surface of an oil slick. This was the Council Chamber, home to the Council of Sentient Species, a coalition of intelligent beings from across the stars. They were there to discuss something urgent, something unsettling. Kale, an elder member of the Vayrons, stood tall, at the center of the chamber. His long, spindly limbs and pale blue skin made him look almost ghostly under the glowing lights. He spoke in a deep, slow voice that carried weight. "We have been warned," he said, his eyes scanning the room. "The humans are coming, and we were told not to count on them." The council members shifted uneasily in their seats. Some exchanged worried glances while others leaned forward to listen more closely. Kale continued. "Their history is one of chaos and destruction. Wars over land, resources, even ideas. They destroy their own planet faster than they can rebuild it. Now they seek us out because they are desperate. Do we really want to invite such instability into our coalition?" A murmur rippled through the chamber. Most agreed with Kale, but not everyone. Nira, a young representative of the Zillion race, sat quietly in her seat, her gills fluttering softly as she thought. She didn't share Kale's certainty about humanity. Sure, their past wasn't pretty, but every species had its dark chapters. Wasn't growth possible? Meanwhile, light years away, aboard the human starship Eclipse, Captain Ryan Hayes prepared his crew for what lay ahead. The ship hummed softly around them, its systems running smoothly after months of travel. Ryan stood on the bridge staring out at the endless expanse of space. Behind him, Lieutenant Emily Dawson approached cautiously. She always knew when her captain was lost in thought. "Captain?" Emily said gently. When Ryan turned to face her, she added, "Are you sure about this? The reports aren't exactly encouraging." Ryan sighed and ran a hand through his short brown hair. "No, I'm not sure," he admitted. "But we don't have much of a choice. Earth is dying, Emily. If we don't find allies soon, humanity might not survive another century. We've got to try." Emily nodded slowly. She understood the stakes, but that didn't make the mission any less daunting. Humanity's reputation preceded them, and not in a good way. Stories of wars, pollution, and greed had spread throughout the galaxy like wildfire. Many alien races saw humans as reckless and dangerous, a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. Still, Ryan refused to give up. He believed in his crew and in the potential for change. As he walked through the ship, checking in with each department, he reminded himself of why they were doing this. It wasn't just about survival. It was about proving that humanity could rise above its flaws. The Eclipse was smaller than most interstellar vessels, built for speed rather than luxury. Its sleek design and advanced technology represented the best Earth had to offer. Inside, the corridors buzzed with activity as the crew prepared for first contact. Communications expert Jake Monroe tested the universal translator one last time, muttering phrases in various alien languages to ensure accuracy. Nearby, engineer Clara Bennett double-checked the ship's engines, making sure they were ready for anything. Even medic Daniel Ruiz pitched in, organizing supplies and reviewing emergency protocols. As the ship approached Nexus Prime, the orbital station where the Council awaited, nervous energy filled the air. Ryan called everyone to the bridge for a final briefing. Standing before his team, he looked each person in the eye. "This isn't going to be easy," he began. "They've heard the worst about us, and some of them won't hesitate to turn us away. But we're here to show them who we really are. Diplomacy, patience, respect, that's how we'll earn their trust." When the Eclipse docked at Nexus Prime, the crew stepped onto the platform with mixed feelings. The station was massive, a sprawling structure filled with alien life forms of every shape and size. Towering insectoids walked alongside tiny amphibian creatures, their movements fluid and graceful. At the center of the gathering stood Zorix, a hulking figure covered in chitinous armor. Beside him were representatives of the Lumen, small beings with translucent skin that shimmered faintly in the light. Ryan took a deep breath and stepped forward. "I am Captain Ryan Hayes of the United Earth Fleet," he announced, his voice steady, despite the knot in his stomach. "We come in peace, seeking partnership and mutual understanding." Zorix tilted his head, studying the humans with sharp, multifaceted eyes. "Your kind has caused great harm in your own world," he rumbled. "Why should we trust you here?" It was a fair question, one Ryan had anticipated. He met Zorix's gaze, without flinching. "Because we've learned from our mistakes," he replied. "Humanity isn't perfect, but neither are any of you. Together we can build something better." His words hung in the air, met with silence at first. Then, Nira stepped forward, her movements smooth and deliberate. Unlike many of her peers, she seemed curious rather than hostile. "Perhaps there is wisdom in giving them a chance," she suggested, her voice soft but firm. Kale frowned, clearly displeased, but he said nothing. For now, the council agreed to hear the humans out. But Ryan knew this was only the beginning. The real challenge would come later when actions spoke louder than words. As the meeting concluded and the humans returned to their ship, Emily glanced at Ryan. "Do you think they'll listen?" she asked. Ryan smiled faintly. "Maybe, maybe not. But we've planted the seed. That's all we can do for now." Part 5. The expedition fleet hovered near the edge of a dense asteroid field, its ship silhouetted against the swirling colors of the nebula. Inside the eclipse, Ryan gathered his crew in the briefing room. The air was tense, heavy with the weight of Clara's discovery. Everyone knew what was at stake: their lives, their mission, and perhaps even humanity's future among the stars. Ryan stood at the head of the table, his hands gripping the edge as he addressed the group. "We don't have much time," he began, his voice low but firm. Clara intercepted a transmission confirming that factions within the council are planning to betray us. They'll try to seize control of the mission, and possibly eliminate us once we reach the ruins. Emily frowned, leaning forward slightly. "Do we know who's involved? Any specific ships or crew members?" "Not yet," Clara admitted, clutching her datapad tightly. "But the message mentioned key players acting on Kale's orders. Whoever they are, they're waiting for the right moment to strike." Jake rubbed the back of his neck nervously. "So what do we do? Fight back? Run?" "We can't run," Ryan replied without hesitation. "If we leave now, it'll look like we're guilty of something, and fighting might only play into their hands. No, our best option is to stay one step ahead. We need to find out exactly who's working against us, and use that information to turn the tables." Daniel raised a hand hesitantly. "What if they move before we're ready? What then?" "Then we adapt," Ryan said simply. "We've faced worse odds before. But for now, let's focus on gathering intel. Clara, keep monitoring communications. Jake, see if you can tap into the other ship's systems, discreetly. Emily, I want you coordinating with Nira and anyone else we trust. If we can build alliances, we might be able to counter whatever Kale has planned." The team nodded, determination etched on their faces. Despite the danger, they were united in purpose. Each person set to work immediately, knowing there was no room for error. Days later, the fleet finally reached the heart of the nebula, a vast expanse dotted with crumbling structures that hinted at an ancient civilization. The ruins floated, eerily in the void, their surfaces covered in intricate carvings and glowing symbols. As the ships approached, awe spread among the crew members. Even the usually stoic Tark seemed impressed, his scaled face lighting up with curiosity. "This place, it feels alive," Silva murmured, her telepathic abilities picking up faint echoes of energy. "There's so much knowledge here, locked away in these stones." Nira floated closer to Ryan, her gills fluttering softly. "Do you feel it too?" she asked. "It's as though this place is watching us." Ryan nodded slowly. "Whatever built this must have been incredible, maybe even beyond anything we've encountered before." As teams disembarked to explore the ruins, Ryan kept a close eye on the alien crew members. He noticed subtle changes in behavior, some acting more distant, others exchanging furtive glances. It was clear that tensions were rising, not just between humans and aliens, but within the council itself. Clara stayed aboard the Eclipse, poring over intercepted transmissions. She worked tirelessly, piecing together fragments of encrypted messages until she uncovered a critical detail. The mutiny was set to occur during the next shift change, when most of the fleet would be focused on studying the ruins. Armed with this knowledge, she relayed the information to Ryan immediately. Ryan called an emergency meeting with his core team. "They're moving tonight," he announced. "During the shift change, that gives us a narrow window to act." Emily crossed her arms, her expression grim. "If we expose them too early, they'll deny everything. We need proof, and we need allies." Jake leaned forward, tapping his fingers on the table. "I've been digging into the other ship's systems. I think I found something useful. A log entry from one of the captains. It mentions receiving direct orders from Kale to sabotage the mission." "That's our proof," Ryan said, a spark of hope igniting in his chest. "Clara, can you secure that log? Make sure it's admissible evidence?" "I'm on it," Clara replied, already typing furiously on her datapad. That evening, as the shift change began, Ryan made his move. He requested an urgent meeting with Zorix, Nira, and several other senior council members aboard the flagship vessel. When they arrived, Ryan wasted no time getting to the point. "We have reason to believe there's a plot to sabotage this mission," he stated bluntly, holding up the recovered log entry. "Orders came directly from Kale to certain ships in the fleet. Here's the proof." Kale's eyes narrowed, his long limbs trembling with barely contained rage. "This is slander," he hissed. "You humans will stop at nothing to undermine us." "Enough," Zorix rumbled, stepping forward. His multifaceted eyes scanned the document carefully. "These logs appear legitimate. Kyle, explain yourself." For once, Kyle had no response. His silence spoke volumes, and the room fell deathly quiet. Nira turned to Ryan, her expression thoughtful. "What do you propose we do now?" she asked. Ryan met her gaze steadily. "We finish the mission together. Let the ruins decide our path forward. If we can uncover their secrets, maybe we can prove that cooperation is stronger than division." Zorix considered this for a moment before nodding. "Very well, but any further betrayal will not be tolerated." With the immediate threat neutralized, the team returned to exploring the ruins. Deeper inside, they discovered chambers filled with advanced technology, devices capable of manipulating energy, matter, and even time itself. Silva's telepathic abilities allowed her to interface with the machinery, unlocking fragments of knowledge left behind by the ancient civilization. Their philosophy was one of unity, Silva explained, her voice tinged with wonder. They believed that true progress could only come through collaboration, not domination. Nira nodded, her eyes shining with emotion. Perhaps there's a lesson here for all of us. As the expedition continued, alliances began to solidify. Even Tark softened, his initial distrust giving way to respect for the humans' determination. Together the crew pieced together the story of the ruins, a tale of a once great society that had fallen victim to greed and infighting. Their downfall served as a stark reminder of what could happen if differences weren't bridged. But not everyone shared this newfound optimism. Factions loyal to Kale remained bitter, their resentment simmering beneath the surface. Though the immediate threat had passed, Ryan knew the battle for humanity's place among the stars was far from over. Back aboard the Eclipse, Ryan stood on the bridge, staring out at the glowing ruins. Emily joined him, her expression thoughtful. "Do you think we've done enough to earn their trust?" she asked quietly. Ryan sighed, running a hand through his short brown hair. "Not yet, but we've taken a step in the right direction. For now, that's all we can ask for." The nebula shimmered around them, its colors reflecting off the hull of the ship. Somewhere deep within those ruins lay the key to a brighter future, for humanity, and perhaps for all sentient life. Part 6. The ruins continued to reveal their secrets, each discovery more astonishing than the last. The ancient civilization that had built them seemed to have mastered technologies far beyond anything the expedition team, humans or aliens, had ever imagined. Silva, the telepathic scientist, worked tirelessly alongside Clara, decoding fragments of information stored in the glowing symbols and devices scattered throughout the chambers. Together they uncovered glimpses of a society that valued unity, above all else, one that thrived by combining the strengths of diverse species. But even as progress was made, tensions aboard the fleet simmered just below the surface. Kale's faction remained bitter and suspicious, their resentment growing with every new revelation. Though Kale himself had been exposed for his role in the planned mutiny, his influence still lingered among certain members of the council. Whispers of dissent spread through the ships, fueled by fear and mistrust of humanity. Ryan knew the situation was fragile. While the ruins offered hope, they also presented an opportunity for greed and division. The advanced technology hidden within the structures could change the course of history, but only if it was used wisely. If it fell into the wrong hands, it could lead to disaster. One evening, as the crew gathered to review their findings, Nira approached Ryan. Her silver skin shimmered faintly under the ship's lights, and her large, liquid eyes held a mix of determination and concern. "Captain Hayes," she began softly, "I fear not everyone shares our vision for cooperation. Some see these discoveries as a means to gain power, not to build bridges." Ryan nodded, his expression grim. "I know. We're walking a tightrope here. Nira. One wrong step and everything we've worked for could collapse." Nira hesitated before speaking again. "There's something else you should know. Several ships loyal to Kale have been communicating in secret. They may be planning another move against you." Ryan clenched his jaw but forced himself to remain calm. "Thank you for telling me," he said. "We'll handle it. For now, let's focus on finishing what we started. The sooner we understand these ruins, the better our chances of keeping the peace." Back aboard the Eclipse, Ryan called a meeting with his core team. Emily, Jake, Clara, and Daniel gathered around the briefing table, their faces reflecting a mix of exhaustion and resolve. Ryan laid out the situation plainly. "Kale's people are still plotting," he explained. "They haven't given up yet. But we can't let them distract us. Our priority is securing the knowledge in these ruins and ensuring it's used for good, not greed." Emily frowned, crossing her arms. "How do we stop them without causing a bigger fight? Every move we make seems to escalate things." "We stay smart," Ryan replied. "Clara, keep monitoring those transmissions. Jake, find a way to disable any hostile systems remotely if they try something. And Emily, keep working with Nira and anyone else who supports us. We need allies on board other ships." "What about me?" Daniel asked, his voice tinged with frustration. As the medic, he often felt sidelined during high-stakes missions. "You're part of this too," Ryan said firmly. "If things go south, we'll need someone level-headed to keep everyone calm and alive. You're more important than you think." Daniel nodded, though he still looked uncertain. The team dispersed, each member heading off to carry out their assigned tasks. Over the next few days, the exploration of the ruins intensified. Tark, the reptilian warrior, proved invaluable in navigating the more treacherous sections of the structures. His strength and agility allowed him to clear paths blocked by debris, while his sharp instincts helped identify potential traps. Jake formed an unlikely bond with him, using humor to lighten the mood during tense moments. Meanwhile, Clara and Silva delved deeper into the ruin's central chamber, where a massive device pulsed with energy. The machine resembled a crystalline sphere surrounded by intricate panels etched with glowing runes. As Silva interfaced with it telepathically, she gasped in awe. Incredible," she whispered. "This device can manipulate matter at a fundamental level. It could reshape entire worlds, or destroy them." Clara's eyes widened. "If Kale's people get their hands on this, they'll use it to dominate others. We have to protect it." Silva nodded solemnly. "Agreed. But how?" Before Clara could respond, alarms blared throughout the ruins. Red warning lights flashed as automated defenses activated, sealing off exits and trapping several crew members inside. Over the comm system, a voice crackled to life. It belonged to Captain Vren, one of Kale's loyalists. "Attention, Expedition Fleet," he announced coldly. "By order of the Council, the humans and their collaborators are hereby detained. Surrender immediately, or face consequences." Ryan cursed under his breath as he listened to the transmission. Turning to Emily, he said, "Looks like they're making their move." Emily gripped her weapon tightly. "What's the plan?" "We fight back," Ryan replied. "But strategically. Clara, Jake, can you disable those defenses from here?" "On it," Jake said, already typing furiously at his console. Clara joined him, her fingers flying across her own screen. Within moments, they managed to override some of the security protocols, reopening key passageways. Tark led a small strike team, including Emily and Daniel, to confront the hostile aliens, attempting to seize control of the ruins. Armed with both weapons and quick thinking, they fought their way through corridors filled with laser turrets and drones. The battle was chaotic but focused, each member relying on the others to survive. In the central chamber, Ryan faced off against Captain Vren and his squad. The reptilian leader sneered at him, his tail lashing angrily. "You humans always think, 'You're so clever,'" Vren spat, "but you're nothing but pests." Ryan didn't rise to the bait. Instead, he raised his hands slowly, feigning surrender. "You're right," he said calmly. "We're not perfect, but neither are you. Look around you, Vren. This place wasn't built for domination. It was built for collaboration. Isn't that worth fighting for?" For a split second, doubt flickered in Vren's eyes. That moment was all Ryan needed. With a swift motion, he grabbed a nearby tool and disabled the nearest turret, giving Emily and her team enough time to flank the enemy. The tide of the battle shifted quickly after that. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, Vren's forces retreated, leaving the ruins in the hands of Ryan and his allies. Exhausted but victorious, the team regrouped in the central chamber. As the dust settled, Daniel tended to minor injuries, his hand steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. Clara and Silva returned to studying the device, their expressions grim. "We can't leave this here," Clara said. "It's too dangerous." Ryan nodded. "Agreed. But destroying it isn't the answer either. We need to find a way to safeguard it, until we can trust the Council to use it responsibly." Nira arrived shortly afterward, her gills fluttering anxiously. "The Council is in chaos," she reported. "Kyle's betrayal has fractured their unity. Many are calling for reform, and for humanity to take a leading role in shaping the future." Ryan exchanged a glance with Emily. "That's a lot of responsibility," he murmured. "But it's also an opportunity," Emily replied, "to show them what we're capable of." As the team prepared to leave the ruins, Ryan paused to look back at the glowing device one last time. It represented both hope and danger, a reminder of the delicate balance between creation and destruction. Humanity had been given a chance to prove itself, not just as survivors, but as leaders. And Ryan intended to rise to the challenge. Part 2. The airlock of the Eclipse hissed shut behind Ryan and Emily as they stepped onto the platform at Nexus Prime. The station was alive with activity, a kaleidoscope of alien life forms moving in every direction. Towering insectoids, sleek reptilian beings, and small amphibian creatures bustled about, their movements fluid yet purposeful. Overhead, glowing panels bathed the area in soft light, casting strange shadows on the metallic walls. At the center of the platform stood Zorix, a towering figure covered in chitinous armor that gleamed faintly under the lights. His multifaceted eyes scanned the humans with an intensity that made Ryan feel like he was being dissected. Beside him were representatives of the Lumen, small amphibious beings with translucent skin that shimmered faintly as they moved. Their wide, unblinking eyes seemed to take in everything at once. Ryan took a deep breath and stepped forward. "I am Captain Ryan Hayes of the United Earth Fleet," he announced, his voice steady despite the knot in his stomach. We come in peace, seeking partnership and mutual understanding. Zorix tilted his massive head, studying the humans with what could only be described as skepticism. Your kind has caused great harm in your own world, he rumbled, his voice deep and resonant. Why should we trust you here? It was a fair question, one Ryan had anticipated. He met Zorix's gaze without flinching. Because we've learned from our mistakes, he replied. Humanity isn't perfect, but neither are any of you. Together, we can build something better. His words hung in the air for a moment, met with silence. Then Nira stepped forward. Unlike many of her peers, she seemed curious rather than hostile. Her smooth silver skin reflected the light as she moved, and her large liquid eyes held a warmth that contrasted sharply with the coldness of the other council members. Perhaps there is wisdom in giving them a chance, she suggested, her voice soft but firm. Kyle frowned deeply, clearly displeased by Nira's suggestion. He turned to face her, his long limbs twitching slightly. Wisdom? He echoed, his tone dripping with disdain. They are reckless, destructive, and unpredictable. Allowing them into our coalition would be an invitation for disaster. Nira didn't back down. And yet, she countered, they have traveled across vast distances to reach us. They have shown courage and determination. Is it not worth exploring whether they have truly changed? The tension in the room was palpable. Ryan could feel the weight of dozens of alien eyes on him and his crew. He glanced at Emily, who gave him a subtle nod of encouragement. This was the moment they had prepared for, the moment to prove themselves. Courage and determination aren't enough, Kyle snapped, turning his attention back to Ryan. Actions speak louder than words. If you wish to earn our trust, you must demonstrate your worth. Ryan nodded slowly. Then give us a chance to do just that. Let us prove ourselves through action, not assumptions. For a long moment, no one spoke. The council members exchanged glances, some nodding thoughtfully, others shaking their heads in disapproval. Finally, Zorix raised a clawed hand, signaling for silence. Very well, he said, his voice heavy with reluctance. You will be given a task, a test of your capabilities and loyalty. Fail, and you will leave the station immediately. Succeed, and we will reconsider your request. Ryan felt a flicker of relief. It wasn't a guarantee, but it was a start. Thank you, he said simply. We won't let you down. As the meeting concluded and the humans returned to the Eclipse, the mood aboard the ship was tense but focused. Ryan gathered his team in the briefing room to discuss what had happened. Emily stood beside him, her arms crossed as she addressed the group. So here's the deal, she began. They're going to give us a mission, a test. If we pass, we might have a shot at earning their trust. If we fail, she trailed off, letting the implication hang in the air. Jake Monroe, the communications expert, leaned forward in his seat. What kind of mission are we talking about? He asked, his brow furrowed. We don't know yet, Ryan admitted. But whatever it is, we need to be ready. This is our chance to show them that humanity isn't just about chaos and destruction. We're capable of working together, of solving problems. That's what we need to prove. Clara Bennett, the ship's engineer, raised a hand hesitantly. Do you think they'll make it easy on us? She asked. I mean, it sounds like they're already biased against us. Ryan shook his head. No, they won't make it easy. But that's okay. We've faced tough situations before, and we've always found a way through. This is no different. Daniel Ruiz, the medic, nodded in agreement. We've got each other's backs, he said firmly. That's what matters. The next day, the council summoned the humans back to the platform. This time, the atmosphere was even more tense. Zorix wasted no time getting to the point. Your task is simple, he began. A valuable artifact, a crystalline core capable of powering entire planets, has been stolen by a band of space pirates. You are to retrieve it and return it to us. Ryan's heart sank. Space pirates were notoriously dangerous, and the odds of success weren't great. Still, he kept his expression neutral. Where can we find them? He asked. The pirates operate out of a derelict asteroid base in Sector 12, Zorix replied. Be warned. The base is heavily fortified and filled with traps. Many who have ventured there have not returned. Emily clenched her fists at her sides. This doesn't feel like a fair test, she muttered under her breath. Ryan ignored her comment and focused on Zorix. Understood, he said. We'll retrieve the core and bring it back. As the humans returned to the eclipse, the reality of the mission began to sink in. Jake reviewed intel on the asteroid base, while Clara double-checked the ship's weapons systems. Daniel prepared medical supplies, knowing injuries were almost inevitable. Ryan called a final meeting before departure. Listen up, he said, his voice calm but firm. This isn't going to be easy, but we've trained for situations like this. Stick to the plan, watch each other's backs, and we'll get through it. Remember why we're here, not just for ourselves, but for everyone back home. The crew nodded, determination etched on their faces. As the eclipse set course for Sector 12, Ryan stood on the bridge, staring out at the stars. The mission ahead was daunting, but he refused to let doubt creep in. They had come too far to turn back now. Hours later, the asteroid base loomed in the distance, a jagged, ominous structure floating in the void. Ryan took a deep breath and turned to his team. Let's show them what humanity is made of, he said. With that, the strike team disembarked, stepping into the unknown. Part 4. The eclipse soared through the void of space, its engines humming steadily as it carried the crystalline core back to Nexus Prime. Inside the ship, the mood was tense but triumphant. The mission had been a success, against all odds. Ryan and his crew had retrieved the stolen artifact. Yet, despite their victory, none of them could shake the feeling that something wasn't quite right. Ryan stood on the bridge, staring out at the stars. His hands rested lightly on the railing as he replayed the events in his mind. The pirates' resistance had been fierce, almost too fierce for a group of criminals operating out of a derelict asteroid base. There was something about the way they fought, the precision of their tactics that didn't sit well with him. It felt less like the work of rogue scavengers and more like the actions of someone with resources, and possibly connections. Emily approached quietly, her boots making soft thuds against the metal floor. You're thinking about the pirates again, aren't you? She asked, leaning against the railing beside him. Ryan nodded. Yeah, something's off. They were better equipped than they should have been, and that leader, there was something familiar about him. Emily frowned. You think they might have been working for someone else? Someone on the council? It's possible, Ryan admitted. We need to keep our eyes open. If someone wanted to sabotage us, this would have been an easy way to do it. Before Emily could respond, Clara rushed onto the bridge, her face pale beneath her helmet. Captain, you need to see this, she said, holding up a small data pad. Her voice trembled slightly. I found encrypted transmissions coming from the asteroid base. I managed to decode some of them while we were traveling. Ryan took the pad and scrolled through the information. His jaw tightened as he read. The messages confirmed his suspicions. The pirates hadn't been acting alone. Someone within the Council of Sentient Species had been feeding them intel about the humans' arrival. Worse still, there were hints of a larger conspiracy brewing, one that involved factions within the Council debating whether to exploit Earth's technology or destroy humanity outright. This changes everything, Ryan muttered, handing the pad to Emily. She scanned the messages quickly, her expression darkening. If the Council finds out we know about this, they'll come after us, she said. Then we can't let them find out. Not yet, Ryan replied firmly. For now, we play along, but we also gather evidence. If we're going to expose this, we need proof. Clara nodded, determination replacing her earlier fear. I'll keep digging into the data. Maybe there's more we can uncover. As the hours passed, the crew worked tirelessly to prepare for their return to Nexus Prime. Jake monitored communications channels, listening for any unusual activity. Daniel tended to minor injuries sustained during the mission, ensuring everyone was in fighting shape. Meanwhile, Ryan and Emily devised a plan to address the Council without revealing their suspicions. When the Eclipse finally docked at the Yao orbital station, the humans were greeted by Zorix and Nira. The towering insectoid crossed his arms, his multifaceted eyes scanning the group. "You have returned," he rumbled. "Do you bring the core?" Ryan stepped forward, holding the crystalline artifact carefully. Its soft blue glow illuminated his face as he presented it to the council. "We do," he said simply. "As promised." Nira's expression softened, a flicker of admiration crossing her features. "You have proven your capability," she said. "This is no small feat." Kyle, however, remained unmoved. He sneered at the humans, his long limbs twitching slightly. "A single success does not erase centuries of chaos," he spat. "Your kind cannot be trusted." Ryan met Kyle's gaze without flinching. "Trust isn't given, it's earned, and we're here to earn it." Before Kyle could retort, Nira interjected. "Perhaps there is merit in continuing this partnership," she suggested. "Rather than rushing to judgment, let us explore further collaboration. For example, the humans could assist us in studying uncharted regions of space. Such an endeavor would benefit all parties involved." Zorix tilted his massive head, considering her words. "Uncharted regions carry great risk," he warned. "Are you certain these humans are ready for such a task?" "They retrieved the core, did they not?" Nira countered. "Let us give them another chance to prove themselves." After a brief but heated discussion, the council reluctantly agreed to Nira's proposal. The humans would join a joint expedition to investigate a mysterious nebula, rumored to contain ancient ruins. While the mission was framed as an opportunity for cooperation, Ryan knew it was also a test, one designed to push them even further. Back aboard the Eclipse, the crew gathered in the briefing room to discuss their next steps. Ryan laid out the details of the expedition, his tone serious. "This isn't just about exploring," he explained. "It's about proving ourselves again. And this time, we'll be working alongside aliens who may or may not have our best interests at heart." Emily leaned forward, her brow furrowed. "Do you think anyone on the council will try to sabotage us during the mission?" "It's likely," Ryan admitted. "Which is why we need to stay vigilant. Keep doing what Clara started. Monitor communications. Look for patterns. If someone's planning something, we'll catch them." Clara nodded, clutching her datapad tightly. "I'll keep analyzing the transmissions. There's bound to be more clues hidden in there." Jake raised a hand hesitantly. "What if they figure out we're on to them? Won't that make things worse?" "Maybe," Ryan replied. "But we can't afford to sit back and do nothing. If we want to survive this, we need to stay one step ahead." The expedition fleet assembled the following day, consisting of several alien vessels and the Eclipse. Among the crew were representatives from various species, including Nira, who seemed genuinely interested in learning from the humans. Tark, a stoic reptilian warrior, joined as part of the security detail, while Silva, a telepathic scientist, coordinated research efforts. As the ships entered the nebula, the environment grew increasingly strange. Swirling clouds of colorful gas obscured their path, and gravitational anomalies caused the vessels to drift unpredictably. Despite the challenges, the team pressed onward, guided by faint energy signatures emanating from deep within the nebula. Days turned into weeks as they navigated the treacherous terrain. Along the way, bonds began to form between the humans and their alien counterparts. Jake struck up conversations with Tark, using humor to break the ice. To everyone's surprise, the usually stern warrior revealed a dry sense of wit that matched Jake's own. Meanwhile, Clara collaborated closely with Silva, marveling at the telepathic scientist's ability to process vast amounts of data instantly. Even amidst the camaraderie, tensions simmered below the surface. Kale's faction within the council continued to plot against the humans, viewing them as a threat to be neutralized. Unbeknownst to the expedition team, encrypted orders were sent to certain members of the fleet, instructing them to seize control of the mission at the first opportunity. One evening, as the ships orbited a dense cluster of asteroids near the ruins, Clara intercepted another transmission. This one was clearer than the others, detailing plans for a mutiny. Her heart raced as she realized the danger they were in. Rushing to Ryan's quarters, she burst through the door. "Captain, we have a problem," she said breathlessly. Ryan looked up from the map he'd been studying. "What is it?" Clara handed him the datapad. "They're planning to betray us soon." Ryan's expression hardened as he absorbed the information. "Then we'll have to act first." Part 3. The asteroid base loomed ahead, its jagged surface glinting faintly in the dim light of a distant star. Up close, it looked even more menacing than it had from afar, like a broken tooth jutting out of the endless blackness of space. The Eclipse hovered nearby, its engines humming softly as Ryan and his team prepared to disembark. Ryan stood at the airlock with Emily, Jake, Clara, and Daniel by his side. Each of them wore sleek, reinforced suits designed to protect against both physical threats and environmental hazards. Clara adjusted her helmet one last time, her gloved hands moving quickly over the controls embedded in her wrist panel. "Life support systems are good," she said, her voice calm but firm. "Weapons are charged, we're ready." Ryan nodded, his expression serious. "Remember the plan," he reminded them. "Stick together, stay alert, and don't take unnecessary risks. This place is bound to be crawling with traps and hostiles." He turned to Jake. "Keep an eye on the comms. If anything goes wrong, we need to know immediately." Jake gave him a thumbs up. "Got it, Captain. I'll make sure we're connected every step of the way." With that, the team stepped onto the asteroid's surface. The ground was uneven and sharp, littered with chunks of rock and debris. A thick layer of dust coated everything, making each step feel precarious. As they approached the entrance to the base, Daniel glanced around nervously. "Feels like something's watching us," he muttered. Emily placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Probably just nerves," she said. "But keep your guard up anyway." The entrance was a massive metal door, rusted and dented from years of neglect. Clara knelt down to examine the locking mechanism while the others kept watch. After a few moments, she pulled out a small device from her toolkit and attached it to the control panel. "Give me a minute," she said. "This old tech doesn't play nice with modern tools." As Clara worked, Ryan scanned their surroundings. His eyes narrowed when he noticed movement in the distance, a shadow flitting between rocks. "Everyone, stay. Sharp," he whispered. "I think we've got company." Before anyone could respond, the ground beneath them trembled slightly. Suddenly, panels on the walls slid open, revealing rows of automated turrets. Red lights blinked to life as the weapons locked onto the intruders. "Incoming!" Emily shouted, diving behind a nearby boulder just as the first volley of laser fire erupted. The team scattered, taking cover wherever they could find it. Jake crouched low, pulling out a handheld jamming device. "Let me see if I can disable those things," he yelled over the noise. His fingers flew across the controls as he tried to disrupt the turret's targeting systems. Meanwhile, Clara managed to bypass the lock on the door. It groaned loudly as it slid open, revealing a dark corridor beyond. "We're in," she called out. "Move!" One by one, the team dashed inside, narrowly avoiding the relentless barrage of fire. Once they were all safely through, Clara triggered the door to close behind them, cutting off the turret's line of sight. For a moment there was silence save for the sound of heavy breathing and the faint hum of the ship's comm system. Daniel leaned against the wall, clutching his chest. "That was too close," he muttered, his voice shaky. "We're not out of the woods yet," Ryan replied. "Stay focused. The core won't come to us." The corridor stretched ahead, dimly lit by flickering overhead lights. The walls were lined with exposed wiring and rusted metal panels, giving the place an eerie, abandoned feel. Every step echoed loudly, amplifying the sense of unease. Emily took point, her weapon drawn and ready. "Keep your eyes peeled," she warned. "This place is probably rigged with more surprises." Sure enough, they soon encountered their next obstacle, a narrow bridge spanning a deep chasm. On either side, jagged rocks jutted out like teeth, hinting at the deadly drop below. The bridge itself looked unstable, its cables frayed, And its planks cracked. Clara examined it closely. It's risky, she said, but I think we can cross if we go one at a time. Ryan nodded. I'll go first, he volunteered. Carefully, he stepped onto the bridge, testing each plank before putting his full weight on it. The structure groaned under him but held steady. Slowly, he made his way across, signaling for the others to follow once he reached the other side. Jake went next, followed by Emily and Daniel. Clara brought up the rear, her eyes darting nervously toward the yawning chasm below. Just as she reached the halfway point, the bridge shuddered violently. One of the cables snapped, sending sparks flying. Clara froze, gripping the railing tightly. "Guys!" she cried, her voice tinged with panic. "Hold on!" Ryan shouted. Without hesitation, he grabbed a rope from his belt and tossed it to her. "Tie it around your waist, we'll pull you across." Clara fumbled with the rope, her hands trembling, but she managed to secure it. With Ryan and Jake pulling from the other side, she inched forward until she finally stumbled into safety. She collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath. "Thanks," she said weakly. "You're welcome," Ryan replied, helping her to her feet. "But we can't stop now, let's keep moving." They pressed onward, navigating a series of twisting corridors and cramped passageways. Along the way, they encountered more automated defenses, motion sensors, pressure plates, and even a swarm of tiny drones programmed to attack intruders. Each challenge tested their skills and teamwork, but they pushed through, determined to complete their mission. Finally, after what felt like hours, they reached the heart of the base. A large chamber filled with glowing consoles and machinery. In the center of the room sat the crystalline core, pulsing with a soft blue light. It was beautiful and otherworldly, radiating an energy that seemed almost alive. "That's it," Emily breathed, her voice filled with awe. "We found it." "Not so fast," a gruff voice growled from the shadows. A group of pirates emerged, armed to the teeth and looking none too pleased to see the humans. Their leader, a hulking figure with cybernetic enhancements, stepped forward. "You really thought you could just waltz in here and take what's ours?" Ryan raised his hands slowly, signaling for his team to do the same. "We don't want trouble," he said calmly. "We're here on behalf of the Council of Sentient Species. Hand over the core and no one gets hurt." The pirate leader laughed cruelly. "You hear that, boys? These little earthlings think they can order us around." He raised, his weapon aiming it directly at Ryan. "Sorry, humans. You picked the wrong fight." For a moment, tension crackled in the air. Then, without warning, Clara activated a hidden function on her wrist panel. A loud, high-pitched whine filled the room, causing the pirates to clutch their ears in pain. "Now!" Ryan shouted. The team sprang into action. Emily fired her weapon, disabling several of the pirates' weapons with precise shots. Jake used his jamming device to scramble their communications, leaving them disoriented. Meanwhile, Daniel tended to Clara, who had been knocked back by the force of her own gadget. In the chaos, Ryan sprinted toward the core. He grabbed it carefully, feeling its warmth against his gloves. "Got it," he yelled. "Fall back." The team regrouped and retreated the way they came, dodging the pirates' attempts to stop them. By the time they reached the exit, they were battered, but victorious. Outside, the Eclipse awaited, its engines roaring to life as the crew boarded. As they lifted off, leaving the asteroid base far behind, Ryan allowed himself a small smile. They had done it. They had retrieved the core. But he knew this was only the beginning. There would be more challenges ahead, more tests of humanity's worth. For now, though, they had proven one thing. Unpredictability wasn't always a flaw. Sometimes it was exactly what you needed to survive. Tar 7. The Eclipse and the rest of the expedition fleet returned to Nexus Prime, their arrival marked by a mix of relief and unease. The ruins had been secured, their secrets safeguarded, at least for now. But the political fallout from Kale's betrayal loomed large over the Council. The once unified body was now fractured, its members divided between those who still distrusted humanity and those who saw potential in collaboration. Ryan stood on the bridge of the Eclipse, staring out at the sprawling orbital station as it grew larger in the viewport. His mind raced with thoughts of what came next. The crystalline device they had discovered was safely stored aboard the ship, its immense power locked away until a decision could be made about its future. For now it was a symbol. Of hope, yes, but also of the fragile trust that had been built during the mission. Emily approached quietly, her boots making soft thuds against the metal floor. "You're thinking about the council meeting, aren't you?" she asked, leaning against the railing beside him. Ryan nodded. "Yeah, this is it, the moment where we either solidify our place here or lose everything we've worked for." Emily sighed, crossing her arms. "It won't be easy. Kale's people will fight tooth and nail to keep us out. And even some of the neutral factions might hesitate to side with us." "I know," Ryan replied, his voice steady despite the weight of the situation. "But we've got allies too. Nira, Tark, Silva. They believe in what we're trying to do. That has to count for something." The council chamber was packed when the humans arrived, the air thick with tension. Kyle sat slumped in his seat, his long limbs twitching slightly as he glared at Ryan and his crew. He had been stripped of much of his authority after his plot was exposed, but his influence lingered among certain members. Opposite him, Nira stood tall, her silver skin glowing faintly under the chamber's lights. She exchanged a quick glance with Ryan, offering a subtle nod of encouragement. Zorix presided over the meeting, his towering form casting a shadow over the room. "We are here to address the events of the recent expedition," he rumbled, his multifaceted eyes scanning the gathered delegates. "The actions of Kale and his followers have shaken the foundation of this coalition. Trust must be rebuilt, and decisions must be made regarding humanity's role moving forward." Kale rose abruptly, his voice sharp and defiant. "Trust? How can we trust these humans? They are reckless, unpredictable, and driven by greed. Allowing them into our coalition would be an invitation for chaos." Murmurs rippled through the chamber, some agreeing with Kale, others shaking their heads in disapproval. Ryan stepped forward, his expression calm but resolute. "With all due respect," he began, his voice carrying across the room, "we didn't come here seeking chaos. We came because Earth is dying and we need help to survive. Yes, humanity has made mistakes, but so has every species in this room. The question isn't whether we're flawed, it's whether we're willing to learn from those flaws and work together to build something better." Nira spoke up, her voice soft but firm. "Captain Hayes is right. Humanity has proven its capability, not just in retrieving the stolen core, but in standing alongside us during the expedition. They faced danger, betrayal, and uncertainty, yet they chose cooperation over conflict. Isn't that the very principle this council was founded upon?" A murmur of agreement spread among some of the delegates, though others remained skeptical. Zorix tilted his massive head, considering both sides of the argument. "Words are powerful," he said finally, "but actions speak louder. What would you propose, Captain Hayes, to demonstrate humanity's commitment to this coalition?" Ryan took a deep breath before responding. "We propose a joint effort to study and protect the ancient technology we discovered in the ruins. Its power is immense and its potential for good or ill is undeniable. If we work together to understand it, we can ensure it's used responsibly. This isn't just about humanity, it's about all of us. Together we can set an example of unity and progress." The chamber fell silent as the council members absorbed his words. Even Kale seemed momentarily at a loss for a rebuttal. Finally, one of the amphibian lumen representatives raised a webbed hand. "Such an endeavor would require resources and trust," it said in a melodic voice. "How can we be sure humanity will honor its commitments?" Ryan met the creature's gaze, without flinching. "You'll have my word and the actions of my crew as proof. We've already started down this path. Let us continue it together." After a long pause, Zorix nodded slowly. "Very well. A provisional partnership will be established, with humanity granted limited membership in the coalition. However, any further breaches of trust will not be tolerated." A ripple of applause spread through the chamber, though it was mixed with grumbles of discontent. Nira smiled faintly, her gills fluttering softly. Ryan allowed himself a small sigh of relief. It wasn't a full victory, but it was a start. Back aboard the Eclipse, the mood was cautiously optimistic. The crew gathered in the briefing room, their faces reflecting a mix of exhaustion and pride. Clara sat at the table, her datapad open as she reviewed the details of the council's decision. "So, we're in, but barely," she summarized. "They're watching us closely. One wrong move and we're out." Jake leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. "At least we've got a foot in the door. That's more than I thought we'd get after everything that happened." Daniel nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Still, it feels like we're walking a tightrope. Every step we take has to be perfect." Ryan stood at the head of the table, his hands resting lightly on its surface. "That's exactly right," he said. "This isn't the end, it's just the beginning. We've earned their attention, but now we have to prove ourselves every single day. It won't be easy, but I believe we can do it." Emily crossed her arms, a small smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. "You really think humanity can pull this off, after everything we've done wrong?" Ryan met her gaze steadily. "I don't know if humanity can do it alone. But together, with the Council, with Nira, with everyone who believes in this vision, I think we have a chance, and that's worth fighting for." In the days that followed, the humans began working closely with their new allies to establish protocols for studying the crystalline device. Silva and Clara collaborated tirelessly, their combined expertise unlocking new layers of understanding. Tark, once wary of the humans, became a staunch supporter, using his strength and leadership to mediate disputes within the fleet. Even Zorix, initially skeptical, began to show signs of respect for Ryan and his crew. But challenges remained. Kale's faction continued to oppose humanity at every turn, spreading rumors and sowing discord. Resources were stretched thin as the coalition struggled to balance its existing responsibilities with the demands of the new partnership. And looming over everything was the knowledge that the crystalline device held untold power. A double-edged sword that could either save or destroy them all. One evening, as the Eclipse orbited Nexus Prime, Ryan stood on the bridge staring out at the stars. Emily joined him, her expression reflective. "Do you ever wonder if we're ready for this?" she asked softly. "For everything that comes next?" Ryan hesitated before answering. "Not really. I think we're doing the best we can with what we've got. Maybe that's all anyone can ask for." Emily nodded, a faint smile crossing her face. "Well, whatever happens, I'm glad we're in this together." Ryan returned the smile, his gaze drifting back to the endless expanse of space. Humanity had taken its first steps into a wider universe, a universe filled with uncertainty, danger, and opportunity. The road ahead would be difficult, but for the first time in a long time, Ryan felt a spark of hope. Together, they had shown the galaxy that humanity wasn't defined by its past. It was defined by its potential. And that potential was limitless. Part 8. Months passed and the Eclipse finally returned to Earth. The journey home had been long but filled with a quiet sense of accomplishment. Humanity's provisional membership in the Council of Sentient Species was still fragile, but it marked a turning point, a chance to rewrite the story of their place in the galaxy. As the ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, Ryan stood on the bridge, watching the blue-green orb grow larger in the viewport. His heart swelled with both pride and apprehension. Emily joined him, her expression thoughtful as she gazed at the planet below. "It looks the same," she murmured, "but everything's changed." Ryan nodded slowly. "Yeah, we've got a lot of work ahead of us, but at least we've got a shot." The ship landed at a sprawling spaceport outside what was once New York City. The area had been rebuilt after years of environmental collapse, its skyline now dotted with green towers covered in lush vegetation. Solar panels stretched across rooftops and wind turbines spun lazily in the distance. It wasn't perfect. Earth still bore scars from centuries of neglect, but progress was visible. A delegation awaited them on the tarmac. Government officials, scientists and representatives from global organizations eager to hear about humanity's new alliance. Ryan stepped off the ramp first, followed by Emily, Clara, Jake, and Daniel. Cameras flashed and reporters shouted questions, but Ryan held up a hand for silence. "We've made contact," he began, his voice carrying over the noise. "But this isn't just about diplomacy. It's about survival and responsibility. The Council has given us a chance to prove ourselves, and we can't waste it." The crowd listened intently as Ryan outlined the terms of the partnership: limited resources, strict oversight, and the shared study of the crystalline device. He emphasized the importance of unity, not just among humans, but between Earth and its alien allies. When he finished speaking, the audience erupted into applause, though some faces remained skeptical. Back aboard the Eclipse and the crew prepared to disperse. Their mission had ended, but their responsibilities were far from over. Clara and Jake would join research teams tasked with studying the crystalline technology, while Daniel volunteered to help establish medical exchange programs with alien species. Emily planned to stay close to Ryan, advising global leaders on how to navigate humanity's new role in the galaxy. As they packed up their belongings, the team gathered one last time in the briefing room. The mood was bittersweet, a mix of pride and nostalgia. They had faced incredible challenges together, but now their paths would diverge. "Well," Jake said with a grin, breaking the silence, "if anyone had told me a year ago I'd be working with aliens and saving the galaxy, I'd have called them crazy." Clara chuckled softly. "And yet here we are. Who would have thought?" Daniel leaned forward, his expression serious. "We did good work out there, but it's not over. Earth still needs healing, and so do we." Emily nodded. "He's right. This is just the start. We've got to keep pushing forward." Ryan looked around the table, meeting each person's gaze. "I couldn't have asked for a better crew," he said simply. "Whatever comes next, remember what we accomplished together. That's something no one can take away from us." Meanwhile, light years away, Nira stood on the observation deck of Nexus Prime, gazing out at the stars. Her gills fluttered softly as she reflected on the events of the past months. Humanity's arrival had stirred up fear and distrust among many council members, but it had also sparked hope. For the first time in decades, factions that had been at odds were beginning to find common ground. Tark approached silently, his massive frame casting a shadow over the floor. "You're thinking about them, aren't you?" he rumbled, his deep voice tinged with curiosity. Nira turned to face him, her large eyes shimmering faintly. "Yes, I wonder if they'll succeed, if they'll truly change." Tark tilted his head, considering her words. "They've already started. Isn't that enough?" "Maybe," Nira replied softly. "But the real test will come when the hard choices have to be made, when power must be shared and sacrifices demanded." Tark grunted in agreement. "Then let's hope they're ready." On Earth, Ryan stood atop a hill overlooking the city, the hum of distant machinery filling the air. Behind him, Emily approached cautiously. "You okay?" she asked, standing beside him. Ryan sighed, running a hand through his short brown hair. "I don't know. Do you think we did enough? Out there, I mean." Emily smiled faintly. "We did what we had to. And now it's up to everyone back home to make sure we don't waste this chance." Ryan nodded, his gaze drifting back to the horizon. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting golden light over the landscape. Despite the challenges ahead, he felt a flicker of optimism. Humanity had proven it could rise above its flaws, or at least try. That was more than anyone had expected. Far beyond Earth, Nira watched the stars twinkle in the vast expanse of space. She didn't know what the future held, for humanity or for the Coalition, but she allowed herself to feel a spark of hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, the arrival of the humans marked not an end, but a beginning. A chance for all sentient life to grow, to learn, and to unite. And that, she thought, was worth waiting for.